Hey fam, I hope you guys are well. I just wanted to go ahead and knock out my video for you on this channel. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this on my prepping channel about chicks and what I learned about chicks and what I'm loving about my chickens so far since I've gotten them. So I just wrote down 5 things that I think might be important, especially for people that have never had chicks or are thinking about chicks. Just so that you understand when you're going to buy them, and just some different things that you just don't realize. So number one thing I had is that they can be messy, right? You know, I think we have this notion of like, okay, yes, chickens, people have chicks and birds indoors. You know, yes, you're going to set up and make sure they have food and water and a place to sleep, and whether that's indoor in a brooding cage, whether that's, you know, in the barn, in a shed, whether that's a coop from the beginning, like whatever it is, understand that chickens are really, really messy, meaning they are birds that poop a lot and they poop on everything. There is nothing nice as far as wherever you're housing your chickens at, your chicks at, doesn't matter what age they are pooping from day one, and they are pooping everywhere. So keep that in mind when you have stuff inside either a brooder cage or the coop or whatever, that they like to get up on stuff. And if they can get up on it, they're going to get up on it and they're going to poop on that. They're going to poop on the food. They're going to poop on the water. They're going to poop on anything they can get up on. They're pooping all over the ground. And I think that's important to understand because one, obviously there's a cleaning that goes to it, but and staying up with that stuff, but it's a health concern as well because they poop so much, because they poop everywhere. There's a concern when you're cleaning the cage for your own health, and there's a concern for keeping things cleanly for them to ensure that they are not getting sick, especially when it comes to their food and water, and poop getting like in the water, for example, and then you're not paying attention to it. You're paying attention, oh, they have water, but you're not necessarily paying attention that there's droppings in there, there's poop in there, and then now they're sick. Okay, so understanding that they're very messy from jump. Next thing I have is lots of adjusting at first, right? So no matter what you went with as far as a food container, water container, even if you have some chicks that are not really super moving and they are not messing up stuff, they're messy eaters, and so they'll tend to try to take the food out. So there's a lot of adjusting with your chicks or chickens in regards to your feeding. Oftentimes it's very common to change how you're feeding and watering them from jump. So I would say just look at a ton of resources, a ton of videos, channels, articles, and see what people are doing and what works best for them, because literally they're going to challenge from jump the way that you have your food and water set up. And then of course they're growing, okay, and that's the third thing I have is they grow super fast. And so because of that, you're having to adjust a lot of things. It might be a bar that you put up for them, you might have to adjust it. It might be the food or the water is too low and you need to adjust it as they're getting taller, right? Or it might be something you don't want them to get on, so you need to adjust stuff so that they can't get up on that said item, right? So just know there's a lot of adjusting involved. And number 3 is that they grow very, very fast. So whatever you have from the beginning, especially if you have chicks, be thinking in your mind before you get them how you're going to expand that place, right? You might have some cute little box or whatever for cute chicks and it's perfect for them, it's homey, but I'm telling you within weeks they're not going to be fitting that space, okay, possibly depending on what you started with, right? For example, hubby built a decent sized box for these chicks. They had quite a bit of space, but from jump, they're growing. So we only have 3 and they're growing. They need space. They're trying to fly around and move around, and they had little space to do that as they're growing, and they're growing taller. And so we had to keep building upon it to make it taller, right? To make it deeper. So think that through when you're thinking about your brooders and you're buying fancy stuff right for them. You might be buying this cute, nice little thing and they outgrow that. And then it's like, oh snap, they're not ready to go outside yet. Where are you keeping them? What are you doing with them? Okay. Again, tons of options out there, but they grow really, really fast. I did a video the other day, and it was weird for me to say they were only 13 weeks old, when to me, they almost look full grown, right? They're very, very big, right? And somebody who didn't know chickens would be like, oh, you have full grown chickens, not even understanding they're not even laying eggs. That goes into my number 4 thing, and I think this is super important for people who have never had chickens. I think that it makes sense that a tiny baby chick is not laying eggs for you. I would hope that that's common sense to people. But I think that there is a time frame that people are not understanding and are thinking, oh, but within a couple months or a month, I don't know what people are thinking. Chicks are laying eggs. Chicks are not laying eggs for maybe 4 or 5 months. So depends on your breed, depends on when you got them, right? How old were they when you got them, right? But 20 weeks, is when the average is starting to lay eggs. And it can happen before that, and it can happen after that. But be prepared that you're not just getting these chicks and then thinking you're going to be having eggs in the next month or even the next month after that, okay? It takes a while. You get chicks, they need to be indoors or safe, in a safe environment for the first 8 weeks. They need to shed their little baby feathers and get their real feathers before they're being introduced to like a chicken coop or a coop with other chickens that are already in there, okay? So they don't lay eggs. Research I think there's 2 things that is good to research when you're picking out your chickens or picking out what type you want. And that's how many eggs does that breed make well, first of all, is that breed egg layers or are they meat chickens? Then 2, how many eggs are they laying predominantly does that breed do in a year on average? So you can just get an idea of how many eggs you can assume you might get. And then 2 dates that I was curious about was, when will my breed start laying eggs? And then when does my breed stop laying eggs? And also, when does my breed die? So just some basic research I think is really important to do before you're figuring out what breed you want, because it depends on what you want the chickens for. And just so you have an idea of like, how long are they supposed to live? How long does that breed lay eggs for? How many eggs per year does that breed lay? Just so you know the color of the eggs that your breed lays, right? My breed lays, they're going to be like light brown eggs. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to see, if they stand up to the names, right? They're prolific egg layers, the kind that we got. And so I'm excited when we get to the point of them laying eggs. And then the last thing is, they know you, they recognize you, they're really kind of needy, like they want to follow you, they want to be around you. And I think that I thought, okay, they're in a cage, they're away from the house. Of course, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to visit them on the daily, make sure they have food, water, bring them snacks, do the cleaning of the coop, right? I'm going to be around them, but you don't realize how much they really do recognize you. They call for you, they come to you, it's not just, oh, I have a snack, right? They want to be around you. I go out there and they're right at the door, and you would think that that's because I let them out and free range every day and they're like, okay, let us out. No, they're like, hey, what are you doing? Are you gonna let us out? But they're right there, and they're very inquisitive of you, and what you're doing, and they recognize you. Hubby doesn't go out there that often, but when he does go out there, he's very specific. Like, he does this chicken calling thing. Like, he goes out there like, wok, 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 wok. Like, nobody else does that in our family except him. And like, they know that. And at first, when he used to do it when they were chicks, I was like, they don't know what you're doing. Like, you're probably scaring them, right? But to this day, he still does that when he goes out there and visits them. And you should see them, like, they totally recognize him and that thing that he does to them. And it's sweet, okay? So one thing I didn't realize is they really do recognize their owners. They recognize you, and they like you and want to be around you. And are acquisitive of what you're doing. Like, they're going to want, like, if you let them out, they're going to want to go. So I'm super excited about getting the other run and making their section much bigger and building a whole play area out for them so that they can come about and I can actually let them out and they can be out with me and all that stuff. Super, super excited. So that's some things. I know that some of you that might have seen that other video on my other channel kind of heard me talk about some of those things. But one thing I just want to say about getting chickens is it's one of the most liberating things I think that we've ever done. And it's such an easy thing to do. I think that there's a lot of overwhelmingness of like people thinking it's going to be more than it is, or I can't do it, or what happens if I get them and I can't do it. And I just think that they're much easier than you would think. I think that if you are a cat person or a dog person, you like animals in general, it's going to be a natural, just new animal added to the flock. And it's worth it. And we're not even to the point where we're getting something from them in regards to what was the point, right? The point was being self-sufficient, getting egg layers, getting fresh eggs every day, having that protein available to us, and then providing that for us. And that's like the real biggest goal of getting them, right? It wasn't to get some chickens and make some friends and have my little chicken friends and become a chicken lady. No, it was to have the eggs. And we're not even to that part, and we're already filled with joy and excitement and happiness that we did what we did, and that we pushed the button and got the chickens, right? And I can see why bigger places, right? These, you know, people who have homesteads that have land, right? And they have, you see them, you know, on social media with 40, 50 chickens and all in their yards and following them around and doing stuff. And I understand that, and I get that, and it's beautiful, you know, and if I could do that, I would. But we'll see, little by little, baby steps, right? It's day by day, this homesteading thing. And so if you don't have your chickens, and again, it doesn't have to be chickens, doesn't have to be your first thing, baby. I mean, get you some little quails, or maybe it's bunnies for you guys first, or maybe it's something else, okay? But expand, get something else and build upon it. Learn about that animal, get that animal, learn why you want that animal, and why you think it's important to add to your family as a preparedness family, as a homesteading, self-sufficient, growing type family, and then push the button and get it, okay? So chickens, worth it. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.